In this video, I'm going to use these two templates to create this artwork. Let's get into the tutorial right now. So I'm starting off with a light blue. So this is Trident blue mixed with white and reducer. I'm just going to spray the base color of that blue over the entire panel. I'm using an aluminium composite panel or aluminum for our US viewers. And as I do with my colours, just go lightly, build it up and let it dry off in between. Pretty much the air will dry it as you go, but if you get it too wet, then you can use a heat gun or a hairdryer to dry it off. The key is just not to saturate it. Now I want to add in a light grey, just working off the edge. Just want to create a bit of cloud. So you can be nice and uneven with this. That's going to help to give it the illusion that it is a cloud rather than just a blend. Again, just build it up. Just around the edges to bring it back into the blue section, it's going to use a bit of paper towel. We're sort of going to scrunch it up a little bit like so. And just from a distance, kind of move that around as you're spraying it. And you can drag it as well. It'll give you a different effect. This is just going to give it a little bit more of a harsher edge. But if you don't sit it flat, that way you'll get this softer sort of impression, which is what I'm going for. Bit of freehand on top too. Merge that all in. Okay, I want to get a bit of colour in there now, so I'm going to mix these two together, magenta and fluoro pink. Starting with a bit of the fluoro pink. So I like to use these fluoro colours and mix them in with the regular colours because it helps to really give them some punch. Add a bit of reducer in there too. I'll go a little bit thinner. Seal it up and give it a good shake. What I want to do is add a bit of that colour in there, so I'm dusting over the grey that we just finished. Again, a little bit uneven is fine. Blend it out into the blue and it will mix a little bit on the surface so you get a bit of that glow. You can see because I mixed it up a lot thinner, it's not covering as quickly, but I've also got to be really careful, so I'm a fair distance away to dust it on, not as heavy as I normally would. You can also use transparent base, but for this particular colour and exercise, I thought I'll just show you how to do it using just basic reducer and your colour. So you're going to use this size here. I'm going to airbrush in the moon. I want to protect the outside edge. So what I've done is grabbed a sheet of copy paper, torn it in half. Using a bit of rice paper tape, I've just stuck that on, and I can then mask up around the area that I wish to spray, and that's going to protect my overspray. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And once it's all masked up, it should look like this. Now position the moon where you want it. I'm happy with it there. And then using white, I'm going to just put my fingers into place like so and build up a white base coat. And that'll be fine. Now selecting which texture you want for your moon, I'm going to go with this one. You can see I can easily line that up. I can still see through it. I just want to block up around where those registration marks are. I'm relining that up and using grey, I'm just going to dust over those areas. Probably can't really see it on the video. It is there, but it's very, very light. So what I'm going to do to darken it up, you can see it's about that darkness right there. Just going to add in a couple of drops of black. That might have already been too much. And when mixing in your cup, just put your finger over the front and pull back on that trigger to bubble it up. And then if I spray it out over here, you'll see it change. So it's much darker. That's better. So we'll run with that. So line her back up again. We'll spray over that to create that pattern. Like so. Now while I've got the grey, I want to soften it up a little bit with some freehand. And what this is going to do is make it appear as though this is in the distance, because I'm going to run that tree really sharp in the foreground just to get a sense of depth. So I want to blur this a little bit. So you can see how easily I can get the markings in with the template, and then you can just freehand off that. Also shade it a little bit. I'm leaving one side with less on there. And now back to the original grey that I used, I'm going to re-render over the top. And again, just going to blend that out with some more depth to the clouds. So I want it to appear as though the moon is emerging, not sitting on top. And if you're new to airbrushing and you want to learn more, we have an online airbrushing course which is available now. Check it out at airbrushasylum.thinkific.com. Again, be nice and patchy with it. You can also add a bit more texture in the moon as you go, but I'm still going to add a bit of white highlights in there as well. And paper towel again for the edge. So essentially it's just like building another layer. More freehand. So you can see I'm switching again between freehand and using that paper towel template. Once again coming in with that mix of the pink and the magenta. Not trying to go over the moon with it, leaving a little bit of that still in there and some of those lighter sections visible. And now I'm going to come in with some white highlights to give it some contrast. So working brighter along this edge. You can see I haven't gone back to the template, just doing this freehand. So if you're enjoying this video and you're getting value from it, then smash that like button, share it out, and let's build this airbrushing community together. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing, tap on that bell icon, and that's going to notify you every time I put out new content. Keeping it nice and subtle. You can go back to the original negative template if you're not comfortable doing this freehand, like around the edges especially. The texturing is fairly easy to do because you can be uneven with it, but just be careful when you're working around the edge to make sure that you don't change the shape of the moon. And then use a bit of that white to again bring a bit of that cloud in there. First freehand. You can see this time I'm not using the template at all, no paper template, just a bit of freehand. You can obviously use it if you wish. but I like to break it up a little bit. And just to punch out a bit more colour, once again coming in with that mix of the pink and the magenta. And just a little more detailing on the moon. Just hitting a couple of those top edges to show a little bit more depth within the cloud. So just keep tweaking it until you're happy. You can see I'm going back and forth, so you're going to get a lot of contrast in a minute when I add in the tree. Okay, so before I spray in the tree, I'm going to use some blue. And I want to bring in a bit of a darker blue in around this section here and around the base, just as a bit of a blend so it doesn't just go light blue into that colour that we've got. Okay, so it's from a distance, darkening off those edges, gradually spraying that in, and then do a bit of shading along here. As well as a bit of freehand, just to get that to blend in nicely. And same sort of thing down the bottom. Again, just going a bit darker at the top. So if you work gradually, you can always just keep bringing in your darker tone instead of just going too heavy too quick. You can get that nice blend. I'm just going to use some turquoise because I want to add in a little bit of a green hue around the blue. And then back to the regular blue just to blend back over it. So I still want it to be seen. Carefully dusting over some of those areas and letting my overspray naturally blend it back into the base colour. And then back in with my white just to again work back over some of those areas, bring some more highlights into that cloudiness. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add in the tree. And I'm going to use black for this. Carefully put some tape on the edges here to hold it into place. Don't need too much. And then the ground will do that in a minute. Again, what I want to do is using copy paper, I want to mask up around it. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, it's all protected and I have black in the airbrush. So what I want to do is use my fingers, hold the template down into position and just do a solid black. If you don't want your fingers covered full of paint, then definitely wear some gloves. The good thing with water-based, it does come off fairly easily. So just building that up. Again, not saturating it. I don't have to go right along this section, because you'll see why in a minute. Again, angling down so that the air actually helps to keep the template into place and stop it from lifting. Because you want to try and get this nice and sharp if you can. And this being really sharp is also going to give you more depth. Okay, so now that it's dry, I'm going to carefully unmask it and see how I went. If all went well, we should have a nice silhouetted tree with little overspray. Okay, so what I want to do now is create the ground. So to do that, Just going to get this bit of paper and just tear it randomly. If you're not happy with it, just go ahead and tear it again. Let's get this, position it where you want it. So I want that sort of to go upwards like so. I'm going to be spraying down so that I get a nice defined edge. And we can go right over the top of the previous part. Use your fingers again just to get that edge nice and crisp. Move it along. So you could use spray adhesive if you wish and just colour in the rest of the base. Unmask that. See, super easy. Now we're going to have a little bit more going along there. Again with the black. And this bit here, just going to freehand that. So you can definitely leave it like that if you wish. I want to make it look a little bit better. Little bits of grass. So this is essentially just your dagger stroke. You can also work off the edge of that paper template. So you can see the strokes don't have to be perfect for this. Just build up a little bit of interest on that line of the ground. So to continue your learning, check out some of the other videos and playlists that I've got listed here. And until next time, go grab your airbrush, do some amazing artwork yourself, and I'll see you again very, very soon in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.